Well, news that's just broken in the past half hour. Craig Kelly, the member for Hughes, so much spoken about him in the past few weeks, is quitting the Liberal Party. He's going to sit on the crossbench. Let's get some reaction on that. Burney, the Shadow Minister for Families and Social Services, is here to talk about a new start, JobSeeker, whatever you want to call it. But what have you made of this decision, this news?
I can't say I'm very surprised. It would appear that Craig Kelly has probably read the writing on the wall, but his controversial actions over the last little while, particularly in relation to his use of social media and the sort of stuff that he was putting out, made him a very controversial figure. The government still has the slimmest of majorities within the parliament, even with him moving to the crossbench. He says he'll support supply. I am focused, as Labor is, on winning government at the next election, and Craig Kelly is the issue of the Liberal Party and now the crossbench, so I'll let them look after
Right,
it.
so that's the point here. There's still the slimmest of majorities. The Speaker can still cast a vote,
yes,
in case all the others vote against it, including Craig Kelly. So Labor's not going to switch to this sort of, well, it's all unstable now, we need an early election. That's not going to be a Labor call?
Labor will not be distracted by the likes of Craig Kelly. He obviously has been a thorn in the side of the Liberal Party for some time. I'd be very interested to see how the Nationals react to this, but the government has the slimmest of margins in the parliament.
Right, but you won't try to say, well, is this a properly elected government now with Craig Kelly going? They've still got the majority, they were elected, they can make the call.
Like I said, Tom, we are focused on the next election. The government has the slimmest of majorities.
But it's a majority?
It's a majority. It's
okay,
very slim. And what Craig Kelly does and what the Liberal Party does, I'll let them comment on that. I have focused on my portfolio.
Well, let's talk about that. So JobSeeker, $50 extra a fortnight. The income-free threshold will also increase as well. What's your reaction to that?
I'm very pleased that the income-free threshold is going to be at the present coronavirus rate of $300 a fortnight. That's very important. That's going to remain. The government has still got a formal announcement to do.
Right.
So I'll wait and see the detail. And the detail is going to be really important because they will have to introduce legislation this week, particularly with the coronavirus supplement finishing on the 31st of March. Labor will not be pushed into nominating an amount. That is extremely crude, a crude way to look at this. It would appear that the government is not going to do the thing that they said that they would do, and that is wrap all the supplements into the increase. I mean, at the end of the day, when you analyse those supplements, very few of them go to very many people. So we will have a look at the detail,
right,
and examine the legislation.
Fair enough. Just on that income-free threshold, my initial information was it was 300, but then the next information I was getting that perhaps it was only 150 a fortnight for all cohorts. So that seems up in the air. If it's only 150 a fortnight, is that too low?
My understanding is that it was 150 a fortnight. Because of coronavirus, the government did increase it to 300 for all people on JobSeeker. And my understanding, Tom, is that they're going to retain it at 300, right, which is something that we would be very much welcome.
As I said, it's a bit uncertain at the moment because some people, for example, at the moment still only get $106 a fortnight, depending on if you're a carer and so on. But if it maxes out at 150, is that too low? I mean, if you're saying 300 is good, 150's got to be too low, doesn't it?
150 in the current circumstances is probably too low, but I'm fairly certain it is $300 a fortnight. Now, remembering this, and this is a really important point, prior to the pandemic, there were about 800,000 people on the old New Start payment, which became JobSeeker. There are now 1.3 million people, because of the pandemic, that are now on JobSeeker. So that's a very important point, and it's going to be interesting to see how many people end up on the unemployment line.
But we're also talking about
with the
a permanent
finishing of
increase,
JobKeeper.
right? So we have to be a bit wary of saying, well, there's so many more people on it, and then a year or two later it's costing the budget heaps of money, and we think maybe that was a bit generous.
Well, what Labor's very focused on, and I am absolutely firm about this, is that the government can make whatever announcements it wants to today, and we can have the discussion about whether they're adequate or not. But the real issue is what the government does in the budget in May, and if Mr Morrison is true to his word, the following budget, because that will really tell us where they're at in terms of
Right.
commitment to centrally.
And just to clarify, $50, you're not going to comment today on whether that's a fair enough increase?
No, I am not going to comment on that, and I won't be pushed into commenting on that. I want to see what's in the legislation, which we expect to see tomorrow or Thursday.
We'll talk after then. Linda Burney, thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Let's go live now to my colleague Ashley Gill, and as